Hey guys, what's going on? It is Ash here coming at you today in Clash of Clans. I'm joined by reoccurring guest now, Jake from OneHive fame. Jake, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Reoccurring. That sounds good. That sounds good.
This is like your
Ash
fifth
channel.
time on the channel, man.
Yeah,
People are
I
getting
know.
sick of you.
I'm getting famous. That's the deal.
Oh yeah, you know me. But yeah, we're joined here this morning. I think we both have our coffee in hand, and we're talking CWL Season 2, and we actually just did some predictions on your channel. You guys should go check that out. I guess it doesn't really matter what order you watch this this discussion here, but we're picking Week 3. We're doing a little bit of a recap as we do so. We're talking about CWL. For those of you who don't know, I mean, I think everybody at this point knows what CWL is, right, Jake?
If you don't know, you need to ask yourself some hard questions about what you're doing with your life.
If you don't know, now you know.
Exactly.
All right. So anyway, we left off just after the Cold September versus OneHive 2.0 matchup. We both picked OneHive 2.0. That was the last matchup of your channel. To find out the rest of those, once again, go ahead and visit Jake's after this video. But where we left off is PWC versus War and Glory. What do you think of this matchup, Jake?
I like it. I think it's an excellent war. I think it's going to be one of the more exciting ones. Now, I wouldn't classify it as quote-unquote war of the week just because I don't think that they're at that, very, very top of the leagues right now. But I think it could be one of the most competitive wars of the week. I am going with War and Glory. We do, I like them. I like the clan. Obviously, Adam from OneHive does some streaming for them as well. So you're probably going to get to catch some of this on his stream, the end of this war. So
he's a great streamer too.
Oh, he does an excellent job. This guy's like an encyclopedia too.
He is.
He won last season, Week 3. It's crazy.
It's insane. It's you got to get him on one of these predictions, and he'll just go for hours on each matchup. It's great.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, War and Glory, I'm gonna go with them. Just because one, I'm sort of rooting for them, and two, I just think they're gonna edge out PWC, but a close war nonetheless.
Yeah, I agree with you there. War and Glory, they're both, again, I feel the same way you do. Both these clans are really good. But there's just maybe perhaps right below that first tier. So I think whoever wins this matchup really is going to carve out a name for themselves as a big clan to beat here. They're both 1-1, I believe. I believe so far they're both.
Yeah, let's see. PWC Week 1, yes.
War and Glory coming off a pretty decisive victory, though, over Tactical Inc., a 7-star victory. So I'm going to go with War and Glory, too. I think they're going to ride the momentum, and that's going to be my pick as well.
Yep, good pick. All right, this next one is definitely on my list. We talked about a few on the first part of this on my channel. But this one's on my list for War of the Week as well. The Swarm and Six Sledges. Who do you got in this one?
This is another tough one, man. Two pretty even matchups, I guess, on paper here. Both another 2-0 matchup versus 2-0. Both coming off of really nice victories. Swarm coming off a victory to WHF, obviously Powerbank's clan. We were going to do this episode, by the way, with PB, but he couldn't make it. Unfortunately, he's traveling. But, I think Swarm is really close to being, well, maybe not close. Maybe they are in that top tier of clans that I just talked about, So I'm going to go with Swarm here, but it really is. Both clans are really riding a hot streak, riding momentum, starting the season exactly the way they want it to be. This ought to be a really good match.
Yep, I think you nailed it. I can't correct you in any form or fashion there. The Swarm, I've got to go with them just because of the dominance of their performances. I mean, not that it was so dominant against WHF, a 4-star victory, but that's a solid victory in the CWL. And then in Week 1, like an 8-star victory over PWC. So I'm just nothing against Six Sledges. I could. They had a close war against Cancha. That's what's sort of getting in the back of my mind. It's
1-star victory, yeah.
It's like, man, the Swarm's on another level than Cancha. I can tell you that without a doubt. So 1-star victory there. I'm just going to have to go with the Swarm and see. But I'm interested in this war nonetheless.
Exactly, like this early in the season, what can you look at if not the the record? The record doesn't mean much, but then the size of victory against who they played. So that's the same reason I'm going to go with the Swarm, coming off that really solid victory against WHF.
It really is tough at Week 3. It's not like it's Week 7, 8, 9 where you could really look back and see how things are going. It's just like you said, you've got limited information. You don't know where everyone's head's at. You don't know where their morale and the clan is at. You know what I do. You ride those highs and lows. It seems like you can do no wrong at times, and then sometimes it's like you can't buy a 3-star. So I think the Swarm is on the prior. They're sort of riding that momentum, and they're going to be tough for the Six Sledges.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Swarm didn't make it. Well, either clan, honestly, but especially the Swarm make it to the all the way, perhaps. And they're on the short list of clans that could do it.
It's exactly how I got to put it. They're on the short list of clans that could be at on that live final. So for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so next matchup here is Emphatic Elite versus Reddit Alchemy. I think both of these clans kind of raising some eyebrows or starting out maybe not how you necessarily anticipated coming into the season. Emphatic Elite on the good side of that, and Reddit Alchemy possibly on the bad side of that. Reddit Alchemy actually had a number of really impressive victories, if I remember correctly, at the end of Season 1. But then last week, they took a pretty bad beating, a 9-star loss to their Reddit comrades, Reddit Omega. So I'm going to go for Emphatic Elite here. How do you feel?
Yeah, man, I missed Emphatic Elite last week. They gave me some flack. It was another pick that I missed last week.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
so you got to go with them now, right?
Yeah, I can't doubt them again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like you said, Reddit Alchemy is sort of back against the wall here, facing a possibility to start off. Actually, I'm sorry, they're 1-1. They're not. Yeah, Reddit Alchemy won this one. I'm sorry, but like you said, not the start they wanted. Not really, especially that beating last week was. That's got to do something to you when you have a really rough week like that. And again, Emphatic Elite seems to be surprising, at least me. Maybe I doubted them. I don't know, but I've learned my lesson. So Emphatic Elite with the win.
Yeah, don't maybe get Maddie on the horn, man. He'll come back.
I know it. All right, so next one, Annihilate and North Watchers. This is an interesting one. I could see this going either way.
I think we might pick against each other on this one.
Well, we've got a couple from the first half, so I don't doubt we'll have a couple on the bottom too. I'm going to go Annihilate.
I'm going to go North Watchers.
Okay, perfect. I think that Annihilate last week against us, I don't know how to word it right because I don't want to pretend like I'm in their clan. I'm not. But getting to war against them, I think they thought they would do better.
You guys beat them pretty handily last week.
Yeah,
OneHive.
pretty convincing win. So I think they're going to be fired up. I think they're going to be like, okay, no, we're not going to fall back into the middle of the pack. They want to be in the top part. They want to be in that conversation. So I think they're going to be really on their game and get the win here.
Yeah, Emphatic. I don't know. It really could be anybody's game there. What I was gonna say is where is my North Watchers only lost to Emphatic Elite by 1 star.
I know.
And they've North Watchers I think have done extremely well. It's funny that you look at the end of last season, they carried some really positive momentum again into season 2. I think that they're a clan that could take the next step, hopefully make the finals this year again, and or maybe not the finals, but into the make it all the way to the end. We'll see. But I think North Watchers is a really solid clan, so I'm gonna pick them over Annihilate. But you're right, Annihilate. Maybe they could have that bounce back war. OneHive certainly not an easy clan to go up against. So I think everybody learned that after season 1. Never discount OneHive. So
and I did get tweeted at by North Watchers as well last week because I did pick against them and I was right, but I indicated that Dark Looter Z was maybe in a tier above them, and they were quick to tell me that I was wrong about that. And it really had a good performance, 105 to 108, only a 3-star victory. I thought it would be worse than that. So. Not that I'm not changing my pick, but I think your pick could be right. I would not be surprised to see them really continue on that momentum, sort of gain confidence, say, hey, we're competing with anybody in this league, and put a beating on Annihilate. So we'll see.
Yep, absolutely. I think that will be an interesting one to watch for sure, and I'll let you know if I'll definitely let you know on Twitter if I get that one right.
I'm sure any of these that we differ on, you'll let me know immediately.
I'll let you know, man. Of course. After you diss me on your channel, you guys have to watch that. But whatever. All right. So the next matchup here is OneHive versus Dark Looter Z. This could be another candidate for matchup of the week here. I think I know who you're gonna pick, so we'll let you go first.
Yeah, no question, and I agree with you. I think this is probably on most people's lips for War of the Week. You've got, 2-0, and really strong clans. Really clans that people are talking about in those higher things. So this is one that I think a lot of people are going to be tuned into. But obviously, you know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say OneHive, and not only just because it's OneHive, but you look at last week, Dark Looter Z only beaten North Watchers by 3 stars. I don't want to say this in a bad way.
You're discounting North Watchers again, Jake.
No, I'm not.
You're discounting them again. They're going to tweet you again.
I know that they are. But I thought that win was going to be a bigger margin of victory. So maybe that's a tip of the hat to North Waters, and maybe it's like, oh, maybe Dark Looter Z not really as strong as maybe I thought they were. So I don't know. We'll find out in about a couple of days.
Yeah, this is a tough one, man, because Dark Looter Z, I mean, they had that Dark Looters brand, right?
Yeah.
And you think greatness, kind of like OneHive and OneHive 2.0, right? So, but like, how big is the gap from Dark Looters to Dark Looters Z? I don't know necessarily, I mean, they're good, but how good are they, So for that reason, I know how good OneHive is. So for that reason, I'm going to go with OneHive.
Yeah.
Could you guys lose? Yes, you could,
Sure.
but it's just, this is a tough one. I think the safe bet, though, is OneHive because I feel like you guys are more proven at this point.
Well, and again, I did say I don't think anybody will go undefeated, and we're in that category. Well, I don't believe anybody will go undefeated. And Dark Looter Z is one of our tougher tests, I think. So could this be the week? Absolutely. I don't think it will, but nothing would surprise me in the CWL right now. It's pretty crazy.
And one thing I was impressed on too is just being there for the last war of the finals of last season with OneHive is that like you guys, even though the public was really heavy on Dark Looters, you guys were cool, calm, and collected. You almost had that war. Obviously, we don't have to replay the whole season 1, but but you guys felt like you belonged there. There was that confidence, that air of confidence, in even though when you were the underdog now, and now that you guys are starting off really strong again. I think that you guys are definitely like really top of the pack right now. So it's hard to go really against whoever your opponent would be. It would be hard to pick against you guys right now.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that, and I've said it before, that, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, even though I'm not even warring with, I'm just sort of representing them on YouTube and streams. But OneHive is, we've been there, done that.
Yep.
Since there was a mixed war clan community, OneHive has been in that conversation of are they the best? Maybe they were, maybe they weren't at different times, whatever. But they've been in the spotlight. They've been in the tough wars. They've been under the pressure. And like you said, it's sort of like, this is not a thing new to them. So that is like Elite Gaming's learning. That is an advantage.
Yeah,
if
for
you've
sure.
not been in that position, it's a disadvantage. So I think that there's no question it's hard to bet against OneHive against anybody. Not that I think we're like unbeatable, because we're not. But yeah, I'm going with OneHive on this one.
Yeah, you'd have to go up against, for me to, honestly, I put you up there with War Whales, Dark Looters, and Spartan's Legacy, in my mind, like that, those would be really tough, but who knows? Who knows, though? Okay, moving on here, we have Mariana Trench versus Reddit Omega. Now, this is a tough one, too. I mean, Reddit Omega coming off that huge, we already referenced it, the huge 9-star victory over Reddit Alchemy.
Yep.
So they're hot. In Mariana Trench, I think they're underrated still, even though they're coming off a loss. But I don't know. I mean, I'm going to go with the momentum here again. We already talked about sometimes you just got to go with a hot clan, and I'm going to go with drawing a blank here. Reddit Alchemy. I'm going to go with Reddit Alchemy here. What about you?
Reddit Omega. Yeah. No,
Omega.
I'm going to agree with you on your pick, but I want to say this. There's two reasons I'm picking Reddit Omega. One is because we've warred against them, and I know how strong they are. I said it last week. I said it again. Their Town Hall 9s were some of the most impressive that I've seen ever. Period. And Mariana Trench, and I don't mean this. I'm not trying to talk bad about them. They have surprised me on the opposite side. 0-2. Had some close wars. Don't get me wrong. They haven't just had the crap beat out of them. But I thought they were going to be towards that top tier this season, and obviously that 0-2 start,
Me too.
It's not looking like that, and it's like, what's going on at Mariana Trench? So I'm going Reddit Omega because they're super strong, and I've just sort of been like, man, Mariana Trench not what I thought they were going to be at the start of this season.
Yeah, I agree with you. I forgot what it was. It was on a podcast, or it was on our first conversation, where it was. But we were doing underdog picks for the whole thing, season 2, and my pick was Mariana Trench. So far, I'm eating my words, but who knows? I mean, it's a long season, and there's a long way to go. This is definitely not going to be an easy matchup for them. I think that's why we're both picking against them there.
Yeah, I would agree. All right. Wish he was here to help us decide on this one. But WHF versus Cancha. Powerbang going to try to come back. They did pick up the loss last week against the Swarm, but hey, it was the Swarm. So 1-1 for them. Cancha really struggling. Only a 1-star loss last week against Elite Gaming, but I believe they lost in week 1 too. I'm trying to find my notes here, Ash.
Cancha week 1,
Yes,
they
that's right,
lost
they did
by
lose.
2 to Tactical Inc.
So 0-2. Obviously, WHF, good clan. I don't think they're performing at the level that they wanted to this season. I know they wanted to come out and make a statement this season, and not that they're having a bad season, but I think this is a war that they maybe could build some confidence on.
Yeah, agreed. Definitely on paper, WHF is the favorite here. WHF, a pretty decent victory. They weren't too happy with it week 1, but what was it, like a 5 or 6 star victory?
Yeah, it ended up being a pretty good victory. They just didn't like their performance, really.
Yeah, and they went against the Swarm in week 2, so it's not like, again, I wouldn't say, I'm sure Powerbang, if he was here, he'd be really hard on the clan, and he tends to be that way, but I wouldn't say they're having an awful season. I just think that this is an important matchup to come out, get a decisive win, regain their confidence, make sure everybody knows that we're here and we mean business. So I think they do that this time, but who really, who knows? It's an important war for WHF to make that statement.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I think it's just what you said. I think everyone pretty much expects them to win, but it's more like if they win by 1 star, if it's a really close war, it's like, man, they're not having the season starter that they wanted, even though their record looks good. It's like, you have to look deeper than that. And I think that WHF knows that. They know that after last season, clearly not the performance they wanted. They want to be on that top tier. They've been around like OneHive forever.
Yep.
And they want to be in that conversation. And a close war or a loss here does not put them there. So they need a convincing win.
Yeah, and Cancha, they might smell a little blood in the water, Who knows? Yeah. So it could be a good underdog choice, but I'm not going to go with that. I think that WHF does win here, and I think they win by a 4 or 5 star margin.
I would agree with you. All right, man, last war. Midwinters versus Tactical Inc.
All right. Another kind of, I don't think that a lot of these have been easy pick'ems necessarily,
No.
So hats off to both of these clans. I think I'm going to go with Tactical Inc. I feel like they're on the verge of making things click, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Like they've had some close wars, and they had a victory week 1 against Cancha by 2 stars. So it's not like, again, it's not a huge blowout victory. And then what was I'm looking for their week 2 result here.
Tactical Inc.
Oh, yeah, they got kind of smoked by War and Glory. So hopefully I'm going to pick them for a bounce back here for them against Midwinters. But Midwinters, it's another one of those clans that you don't want to discount and play below your game thinking that it's an easy victory. I don't think there's really any easy victory in this lineup, So I think that Tactical Inc. pulls it off, but I think it will be a close war.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Midwinters is one of those clans that it's like do or die time. You know what I mean? It's like step up, compete, or basically they know what's going to happen all season. They're 0-2, not a good performance, not what they want to be doing. Tactical Inc. obviously coming off that loss to War and Glory, but again, War and Glory, very strong clan. Midwinter's got to step up. They got to say, look, we're planting our flag. We can compete in this league. Tactical Inc., we're going to make an example out of you to show everyone that. Because Tactical Inc. is a good clan. Everyone, that's someone people talk about. People pick to win. It's not like they're at the bottom of the league. So I'm going to go with Tactical Inc., but I am interested in this because I want to see Midwinters do that. I want to see them turn it around and start putting some wins under their belt.
Me too, and I know, Midwinters does have some really solid players and leadership, so I'm kind of rooting for them too. But it really, at the end of the day, it just, they have to, like you said, it's just kind of like put up at this point. It's a tough situation to be in, coming off a war to PWC. It's a tough lineup out there, man. I mean, it's a grind. I think we know at Elite Gaming that it's there's no easy victories at all in here, So
it's a murderer's row.
It is.
You think you want to be in the CWL until you get there. It's like, man,
crap.
This is like, what have we gotten ourselves into?
Yeah.
Because every clan, every Sunday, you've got to bring it. You've got to be on point, putting the time in, putting the work in on your basis, on your attacks. Otherwise, your record's going to reflect it.
For sure. Well, Jake, been a pleasure having you on again, man. Good luck to all the clans. Obviously, no hard feelings if we picked against you. But it's tough to do this, man. It's tough. I don't envy you and PB doing this every week, but definitely a lot of fun. If you guys like this series, let us know in the comments, and we'll continue to do it. Jake, just wanted to thank you again for coming up with this idea, and make sure you check out his video as well, where we picked the other half of the league.
All right, man. Thank you for having me.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. A huge shout out to my YouTube partner, Bren Chong. Make sure you check out his information along with Jake's information in the description below. Guys, thanks so much for watching. And as always, take care, guys.